ergonomics and neck pain. The amazing thing is, so many of us head to work, start using electronics, and we start developing neck pain. Is this a normal state? I mean, is it something that I should just simply expect from my body? That when I start using electronic devices, whether it's a telephone, whether it's the iPad or a computer, that I should just simply expect that I'm going to have neck pain? Well, the answer is no. Now, I have to say, is it common? The answer is absolutely yes, because, well, we're going to get into that in a minute. But is it normal? The answer is absolutely no. You know, you and I have become so used to thinking that problems, difficulties, pains are normal that we forgot that they're not supposed to be that way. That we should be able to engage in those activities and do those things without feeling anything whatsoever. In fact, sort of like athletics, we should be able to walk away, allow our body to rest, and feel like we're ready to re-engage once again. And yet that's not the case. And we recognize that, you know, office ergonomics are something that, well, they've been mystified. You've been told that, hey, listen, you have to buy a $1,400 chair in order to be able to sit at your workstation. That you need to spend thousands of dollars in order to actually set up a workstation so that you can be in the right place. Well, listen, part of this conversation today is to help you to understand that whether you're at home and you're working from a home workstation, or whether you're in a corporate office, that you're capable of producing a condition or a situation that you're able to utilize electronics without experiencing those neck pains. Now, one of the very first things that you have to recognize is that, you know, there is a tremendous amount of imbalance that comes when we use things wrong. In fact, when we use electronics wrong, well, there's a tremendous amount of imbalance that occurs. In fact, screening postural imbalance is one of those things that needs to happen in order to make sure that you're being set up for success. Now, maybe one of your takeaways from today's conversation is going to be, hey, listen, you know, the very first thing that I need to do is make sure that I have my workstation, my electronics, and the use of it checked. Picture's worth 1,000 words. By the time we're finished today, you're going to see an email address that is going to give you the opportunity of emailing your workstation setup, your electronics studio setup, so that we can go ahead and review that with you and for you so that you know how to improve how you're utilizing those things. Now, yes, posture's worth 1,000 words. It is a window into your spine and your nervous system. Oftentimes people are absolutely amazed how their posture absolutely demonstrates exactly what's going on inside. And your posture as you're standing there using electronics, sitting there using your electronics, well, that tells us so much about how your body is being affected. Now, here's one of the great things. We're going to talk about some examples here. And very simply, you're probably going to look at one or two of these pictures and say, that's me. Whether we're talking about the ideal spine, which we should be set up in, where there is this natural plumb line from the ear, through the shoulders, through your hip and your knee, and obviously all the way down to your ankle, to other positions, other postures where, you know, maybe you're having too much curvature in your spine. And as you see here, the spine sways back and forth. Oh yeah, by the way, this is where grandma is getting shorter and shorter with age. You know, you probably recognize I used to be 5'10", and well, now I'm only 5'8.5". And you realize you have this hump in the middle of your back and you're rolling your shoulders forward. And of course, you're not going to be as tall because your posture is not straight, because the curves are being exaggerated. Or maybe you're losing the curvatures. where you don't have enough curve in the different parts of your spine. And then finally, it's this very last situation where we have this sway back, where, yeah, the torso, your chest is actually behind where it's supposed to be, which drives your head forward in order to try and compensate. All of these demonstrate postures that are produced by using electronics improperly. Now, there's a lot of other reasons why you can get to this place, but poor use of electronics is one of those things. In fact, when we look at how the body's muscles are supposed to be functioning, well, listen, we have muscles that are supposed to balance each other off, not just from side to side, but from front to back. So as we're looking at this particular model, we have muscle tone, which is demonstrated in red there, in the front of your legs, your glutes, your abdomen, all the way up your back and into the back of your neck. Now, this is a normal posture, so I want you to look at the difference when we see things like this excess curvature, where we have weakness in the abdominal muscle, we have weakness in the muscles that are between the shoulder blades there, and those other areas of the spine have to work even harder. In fact, one of the key things which I want you to notice on this is that you have redness in the front of the legs there, oftentimes because the quads, these big muscles in the front of your legs, they're tighter than they're supposed to be. But the muscles in the back, your glutes and your hamstrings, aren't as tight or aren't as strong. So what ends up happening? We get a condition called an anterior pelvic tilt. Now, some of you are saying, what does this have to do with neck pain? It's a chain reaction. And it comes from utilizing electronics and the poor setup of using electronics in our day-to-day life. Can this be stopped? Absolutely. Does it take time and effort? Absolutely. But like anything else, we have those opportunities if, in fact, we know where we're at. Now, first things first, getting checked. And I'm going to say this again. A picture is worth 1,000 words. If you've never had your posture checked, guess what? That's the very first place to start. For those of you that are patients at the Limerick Chiropractic Center, I'm just going to tell you, this is something that you're routinely going through, is having your posture checked. Now, since many individuals out there are seeing this information, and maybe they're not under chiropractic care, listen, I just want to let you know that getting checked is simple. It's easy. We always start out with two very simple tests in our office, a posture check and palpation of the spine. And if, in fact, it leads us to understand that there's possibly subluxations present or bones that are out of place causing our body not to be able to function correctly, then guess what? We're going to go ahead and do a complete and chiropractic evaluation to confirm the presence and understand what phase of spinal degeneration your body's in. But like I said, a picture's worth 1,000 words, right? Now, the sad thing is that we're laughing at this right now. You're saying, oh boy, nobody would really do that. Shake your head up and down that people would actually do that. Because we have kids who walk in our office and after their chiropractic adjustment use the chair that they're sitting in like a Barca lounger. There might be one of you two adults out there that do exactly the same thing. No, it's not okay. No, this is breaking and deteriorating the spine. But can you imagine that being done? If you've never had a chance to watch a young teen that's playing his video games or her video games, those gamers will assume positions and postures that are absolutely unreal that will destroy the spine slowly over time. See, we think of neck problems and neck pain is just for adults. But kids experience this also. We have to make sure that, our neck is not twisted, that the monitor is at the proper height. And listen, we're not going to go into this in detail today. In fact, we're going to shorten this up a little bit because next week in our conversation, we are going to have a follow-up so that we could talk about ergonomics of the workstation. Exactly how it is that you're going to be able to set yourself up. Because listen, We don't need one of these devices. These robotic devices that help to put ourselves into that best possible position to reduce stresses on our spine. Do we have to go through expenses like that? The answer is no. But half the battle of using electronics is making sure that we're getting set up for success. Now, forgive me, but most everybody out there has a cell phone. There's probably a handful of people who don't have a cell phone anymore. And in turn, we recognize that when you go in and you buy this cell phone, there's no salesperson that stands there and tells you, oh yeah, by the way, this is how you're supposed to use it. This is where you're supposed to hold it. This is when you know when to put your cell phone down. Now, I'd love to hear from you. I mean, if you got those type of instructions when you got your cell phone, please help me to understand that. Let me know. I would love to hear from you so that I could make sure that I refer others so that they have that same exact experience. See, the sad thing is that electronics in our day and age are like a lethal weapon. They destroy our body slowly and surely over time. And yet most people have no idea how to use these things. So I'm going to encourage you. Grab a friend, get your spouse. I want some pictures taken. And I want you to send them into the email address that you see up here so that we can make sure that we review this information with you. Getting prepared for our conversation next week on ergonomics of the workstation. As always, listen, we recognize that the only way that more of this good information gets out to more people is by you doing your part. That's why we ask you to simply like these videos. And leave me a comment. If there is something that you'd like for us to talk about in specific because of what you heard tonight, wonderful. Leave that comment in there. And then finally, I want you to make sure that you're sharing this information. As basic and simple as this seems, there are people around us that have no idea what you and I know. And since there's many people out there that actually see these videos and that are not under chiropractic care or not here in Pennsylvania, I'm going to encourage you, get checked. Get checked because I know how that unleashes us from the fear that many individuals have. It unleashes us by allowing us to know what our present situation is so that we can make positive changes to the health of our spine and our nervous system before damage is done. I will encourage you to make sure that you continue to share information in the hopes that we get to help somebody else out in their journey. I'm Dr. Joseph Baker from the Limerick Chiropractic Center.